Hello everyone, so my name is Miu. Today's topic is this house will let their child to prefer being single. We define that let their child to prefer being single isn't mean that denied romantic relationships. So I will explain my first point is getting knowledge. So nowadays more and more people who want to be single. That enable people to make economic burden. Single is one of the effective ways to people spend money and time on themselves. So, so for example, raising a child costs a lot of money. If you are if people are single, people can keep that money to protect their own life and save for their future. So people can avoid a difficult life. So first of all, people can live their life for their self. Marriage and family are good, but they take a lot of people time, money, and energy. If children do the good point of being single from a young age, they will not feel the pressure to marry. Then they can use all of their time and money for their own dreams, career, hobbies, and study abroad. This will protect them from having a difficult financial life in the future. If if they stay single, they can keep their money to protect their own life. On the other hand, if the money or live with someone, it costs too much money. This can easily lead to a difficult financial life or serious money problems in the future. So, therefore, learning up to being a single is very important. Moreover, if they are single, so because they can use profitability of their money for themselves and keep their life safe and stable. So if their money or live with someone, it costs too much money for housing, food, and daily life. Also, if they have different money ideas from their partner, so they will face big financial trouble. This can easily lead to a difficult life and make them very poor. So people teaching children to love being single is best way to protect their future, avoid money needs, and stay happiness. For example, if people use all of her money to, for example, raising a child costs a lot of money. If you are single, so people can keep that money, it protects people's life and save people's future. So people,
Shion,
yes, please.
then are you deleting a chance of building a relationship just because of financial burden and like emotional burden?
Yes. So uh, I will talk a little. So, so our timeline is children future is very most important point. Also, so um, so uh, so we propose this motion. Thank you.
Look, I'm single. I'm probably a hopeless romantic, and this does not mean I want my parents to bring me into this family curriculum and just go with this stick with the family type narrative. So, I'm proud to oppose three things in my speech, rebuttals, some counter policies, and two of my team's arguments. First, let's look into what the first speaker previously said. Look, so I think before we have to have this established. The benefits of being single is mutual. Just because you want to get a date does not mean you will. And there are times when you will be single, which is enough to learn these lessons or whatever and have this benefit. So these benefits is not entirely exclusive to the proposition side. And even if you do get a date or whatever, this does not mean family relationship will be exclusively deprioritized. So family is deprioritized as teens grow up of things like friends anyways. And by the way, like it's not impossible to have like a good relationship with your mom and your girlfriend. So I don't so this pretty much preempts the and if anything the proposition says about family being deprioritized or whatever. Now let's look into their first argument, which is about efficiency. Now it's not I don't think why this really matters in this because there are already so many things that brings cost and nice. If you use your money and it made you happy, then it served the purpose perfectly. So because I mean guess what, like that's literally the point of making money, to make yourself happy, right? So and so it really just like is shocking to look at POI response because the numbers and money is deeply prioritized by them over any type of happiness that could come from dating. And I don't see how this is done. I don't see what metrics they are using to prioritize this. So I don't see why they are doing. And so I really think this is like a terrible strategy to begin with. Now so we as opposition, we are trying to give kids autonomy and more options in the future, and that is the very job of parents in the first case. So that is literally our kind of actual case of what we are prioritized as parenting, as parents. And also the prime minister really lacked characterization heavily. So let me redefine of what prioritizing singleness looks like and what our role looks like. Singleness literally means isolating yourself from having those dates and whatnot, right? And it's literally and look, and that's not what a good life really looks like. Because a good life is a happy life where human relationships do exist. And how does our role look like? We do not explicitly tell these children to just get a date, but we are still allowing kids to choose to get a date if they want to. All right, then let me just move on to my first argument, which is the children's future. And look, the parents' fundamental job is to widen their children's options and pre-install these preference of singlehood explicitly narrows them significantly. So, by the way, like just because you prefer being coupled doesn't mean you're always going to be couple. So the benefit of preferring a single is pretty much mutual on both roles, but the couple being benefits of couple, which is also significant, is only exclusive on my side. Now, look, this is how it works. So they did not defend autonomy, but they deliberately raised children to prefer this one single path that's primarily chosen by the parents, which is to be single. Now, later, that is exactly what they will accuse society of, and in the future, that they are going to say that they did not have the opportunity to just reach out and have many human experiences with other people. Now, as I clarified before, we are not forcing these children to get a date, but if the child is engineered to prefer, I don't know, being alone, being solitude, autonomy means parents equips children with both lives and make them. But autonomy means parents equipping children with both lives and making them able to decide for themselves. So in their role, these children will not be able to decide if they want to be a couple or not because they did not get the option to do so in the first place. And look, the child who was raised being told you don't need anyone can later want a partner, but guess what's gonna happen? Look, if you haven't single the whole life so far, I'm sorry, but chances of you getting a date in the future will keep getting worse because you don't know how to get a date. You don't know how these human interactions work, and that's how you just stay single for a really long time. And look, and the impact of this is this future adult will make hidden will have these limits in what they are capable of doing in the future. And this main stakeholder that we both sides are trying to save will be the one who gets harmed the most. And the proposition they are just trading off society's pressure for parental pressure, and this is not liberation. And we are just trying to remove this pressure instead. These both pressures instead, and that's the only way we can actually have their opinions respected and whatsoever. And before I move on to my second argument, I'll just receive one POI. Right. Okay, I don't see any POI, so I'll just move on to my second argument. So our second argument is that raising the child this way does not push them towards bad relationships necessarily. So look, this shows the worst case. This basically shows that our worst case is still better than their worst case. Look, raising a child open to love does not mean we are making them be so desperate chasing for such toxic relationships. And actually, it's very likely that proposition's worst case is more likely to be like this. And because they will and at the end they will be settling for an abusive partner out of fear of being alone, pressure of getting someone to get married to, which is already a really dominant social narrative. And this is something they will face, like it or not. And we actually teach children not to entirely beat their dominant social narrative because no one really could. But we tell them how to deal with it, how to deal with it good, and how to have a happy ending. So the desperation proposition is so afraid of is coming from neediness, and this will be meaning unstable, desperate children who cannot really land on a stable relationship. Now let's look into some examples. So let's look at my teammate Ryan. He had never had a date a single time in his whole lifetime, and he is sitting right in front of me, single. Look at him; he's so desperate. Like he's trying to get someone who he cannot. But the only problem is that he still cannot land on a single date because he does not know how to do it, and because he was not exposed to these environments to begin with. Now, according to him, his mom could agree him to get a date when he goes to university and whatsoever. But now, guess what's going to happen? Even if he does go to university, he's going to be just so desperate, and he's going to enter into some toxic relationship. It's going to last a month, and it's going to end. Because in most cases, it's likely that they will need someday at some point of their life, and that's just going to. I think that's just the set premise that we have in this thing, right? So people learn from being exposed to certain experience, and the better way is to make a more mature person that will be in the dating market by having constant exposure from the very moment that they are in their childhood, and at the end that will make the child happier. So proud of post. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shion. This house believes that raise their child to prefer being single. And first, I will let me divide opposition first point. And they said if one adapt the idea of not seeking romantic relationship and remain single, they may become unsure whether they should stay single or go or couples. As a result, they may miss out of human experience, but it is not true because there are another ways to build relationship with people. For example, they can do so through friendships because friendship can go to playing.
You know why?
Oh yes.
Isn't friendship something that could happen on both roles? So why is that exclusive on your side, and why is that a better alternative than relationship, which has a more detailed bonding and whatever?
More, could you say more again?
So friendship could happen in both roles. So how is it such something that's so exclusive on your role, and which could be a better alternative compared to just dating someone else?
Because friendship is very friend is many relationships but romantic relationship is only people, so people would be toxic. So so if the romantic relationship people is lost, so people would be stressed. So friendship is more better. Okay. Next, I will explain our second point. If children will be bring that thinking romantic relationship and making them an important life goal is necessary, they may become to see it as something they must achieve. This is because children are still immature and unable to make free some judgment, so they tend to believe that what their parents say is correct. As a result, due to parental expectation and social pressure, they may try to form romantic relationship even when it is forced, or continue relationship with parents who are not sustainable for them. Continue such sustainable relationship can cause stress, which may eventually lead to depression. This is because they try to avoid being disliked by their partner and suppress their true feelings. For example, in order to maintain a romantic relationship, they may develop a stronger fear or losing connection with others. This is because people try to avoid feeling of loneliness when they seek romantic relationship. On the other hand, if children have the mindset that being single is preferable.
Yeah,
Yes,
if they're raised at a very young age to avoid romantic relationships, how are you so sure that they will suddenly be able to build one in the future where they have zero knowledge and experience?
could you say one more again?
In your world where children are raised to avoid and dislike romantic relationships, how are you so sure that when they grow up, they will be able to build one if they have zero knowledge and experience about it?
But but I said our attack is friendships can be built their experience and knowledge. So um okay. Next I will explain our second point. That um, on the other hand, if children have the mindset that being single is preferable, they do not need to depend on others for their happiness. Romantic relationship often involve seeking a sense of security and emotional support from one specific person. For example, people communicate regularly and share their worries with their partner. As a result, they may become dependent on that person. However, in the case of being single, individuals have more opportunity to solve problems and organize their emotions on their own without relying on a specific person. Therefore, since they do not depend on a particular individual, it becomes easier for them to maintain emotional stability by themselves. So we propose this motion. Thank you.
Aristotle once said that people are social animals, while the government is just giving up emotional and social experiences just because of efficiency, money, and just a little bit of emotional stress that everybody goes through when they are when they are once in a relationship. Thus, I am proud to oppose. Two things in my speech. Firstly, the rebuttals, and second, our team's last argument. Firstly, the Prime Minister said that friendship can also be a way to learn social relationships, and friendship is able to make them experience a lot of people. However, as our leader of the opposition said, this is available in both sides, so it is not exclusive in their world at the first place. And second, romantic relationship is able to make them learn more than regular friendships, because romantic relationships is only able with one person, and they will be able to concentrate more on their person, which means that they will be able to learn about one person very deeply and thoroughly, so they will be able to experience diverse people in a more deeper way, which will be beneficial for them in the future, and they will be able to have a healthier relationship, healthier romantic and just social relationships at the future. Their second argument was that they are not like children are not mature enough to make proper decisions and go through relationships. So the parents need to parent them that you should be single, and they need to kind of teach them. However, when they form a romantic relationship, it is different, and we believe that those emotional stress and the conflicts that they first go through is necessary for them to have better friendships and better romantic relationships in the future. Because when they just do not be in any romantic relationship until they become adults, and when they just have the whole freedom to date anybody when they just become adults, they will be really frustrated and they will not be able to make any proper decisions. So the not making proper decisions will happen in the government side, not in our side. Moreover, they also talked about being in a relationship can bring fear and stress. Yes, this is true in some point. There may be some conflicts and emotional stress when they're in a romantic relationships. However, a romantic relationship it's not just about fear. They start a romantic relationship because they like the other person. So most of the parts are happy, and those conflict and stress the little parts are necessary for children to form a healthy romantic relationships in the future, and as mentioned, forming no romantic relationship in a young age and making them just giving the whole autonomy when they become an adult will bring more fear and more confusion, which will make them make bad decisions, which can bring very extreme results. So the fear and the stress is in the government side, not our side, which I will further explain in my argument. Lastly, they said that when they are in a romantic relationship, they will only rely on one person, which will be the person which they are in a romantic relationship with. However, even when they're in a romantic relationship, they still have a lot of people to rely on, which is friendship and family. So we do not understand why the government is just believing that in our world there will be no friendship and no family relationship, because we believe that even though they are in a romantic relationship, they will be able to manage friendship, family relationship, and romantic relationship by themselves, because people are able to manage a lot of social relationships by themselves already, even though romantic relationships are involved. So now moving on to our team's last argument, which is that romantic relationships will be able to make them more sociable and make them learn more about diverse people. So our mechanism is mainly that romantic relationships provide a chance to meet diverse types of people, because the government side is just assuming that staying single is better because they will allow them to learn independence and we will just rely on one person when they're in a romantic relationship. But they're just ignoring the social and emotional benefit that can be better and only developed through romantic relationships. So firstly, romantic relationship will allow people to socialize more deeply, which is our exclusive point, which is different from friendships. So we agree that friendships are important and there are some kind of experience possible, but they often do not require just like the enough caring and emotional spending as much as romantic relationships require, because romantic relationship is only with one person, while having friends can be possible with anyone, with a lot of people, right? So in a romantic relationship, children must learn how to like consider others' feelings, others' perspectives, and communicate through when they have conflicts. And it will be almost impossible to get other people's help when they are solving these conflicts, which is exclusive in our side. So when they are just forming romantic relationship with people with different personalities and perspectives, they will be able to be more sociable, which will be helpful in their future. So we believe that before dating is just considered as dating, it is a relationship with someone else, and forming a sociable relationship with someone else is a chance for them to experience different types of people in a more deeper way than friendship. So secondly, dating is not just about like physical affection. It's more of them is an emotional part. So a romantic relationship has more responsibility and respect and trust. It requires more respect and trust between people. So children must learn how to solve conflicts and they will be able to learn like apologize when they did something wrong, and they will be able to support the other person when they're having like hard times. So these are difficult skills that can be only learned through experience, because they can't learn it when the parents just tell you like, oh, you need to apologize when you're wrong. They won't be able to learn it when they just don't try it by themselves. So even though we agree that there may be some emotional stress and it may be tiring at the first time, but we believe that this is necessary part for the future for the children to have a healthy relationship. So they need to go through some experience and conflicts to achieve this. For example, when Ryan gets a girlfriend for the first time in his life, he may not be mature enough to consider his girlfriend's opinions on the and his and her perspectives. However, when he gets to a fight with his girlfriend, he may even break up. But does this fight mean that he will never get a girlfriend again? And does this fight only mean emotional stress? No, obviously not. He will, through this experience, he will be able to consider the other girlfriend's perspective, and he will be able to think about the other's perspective, which is beneficial in the future. Thus, I am proud to oppose.
Hello everyone, my name is Makana. For our first point is about getting knowledge of being the not good disadvantage of being romance relationship. And our second point is about be stressed by the romance relationship. So I'll explain our first point. Most important point is makes children understand and know that being romance relationship like cohabitation or married have some risk of being broke, and protect that children will become broke or be disappointed to the relationship because they become broke, and make children can have healthy relationship, like not being toxic relationship, and is important. And if they be protect children to be in the healthy relationship, if they be in the romantic relationship, is most important to protect children. And our second point, most important point, is if children has thought of they have to be in a romance relationship, children will be able to get stressed by trying to get romance relationship. Like, oh, I have to be in a romance relationship, so they trying to get romance relationship, and they will get stressed with someone, or they will get romance relationship with people who doesn't suit themselves, and because they think they have to be in a romance relationship, and those are makes children to be stressed and being depressed. And it connects to children mental health, which is really, really important for parents and also for the like society, government.
Why?
Yes,
What are you protecting our children from?
from mental health, and mental health. And for parents, make their beloved children get knowledge and protect their mental health is most important things for parents. And it's also important for government to protect future generation of their nations. So this is very important. And moving on to our first point, attack, they said money are not deeply prioritized than money are not be supposed to deeply prioritize than happiness, but it's not true, because even if they prioritize happy, but if they become broke, they can't become happy because they're broke and they're in the poverty. So prioritize money is also connected to become happy, like prioritizing happy. So their point is not true. And also moving on to our second point, they attacked that when children become adults, they'll become free to get relationship, and they will be in a bad relationship. But it's not true, because children get thought of that being single is better. So it's not true that even if children become free to date because when they become adults, it's not always being that children will get in romantic relationships. So their point, I think, is not true. And I'll move on to their first point. They said children don't have any opportunity to learn human experience, but it's not true, because as we said in the defense, raise children to prefer single doesn't mean deny the romantic relationship. So children still have opportunity to learn human experience. And also, as our second speaker said, human relationship can be learned by taking friendship. So yes.
As I said in my rebuttals, I said that romantic relationship will be able to like try like experience people in a more deeper way than friendship, and it is also friendship is also available in our side. So what is better in your world?
Like you said that dating relationship is like more deeply to learn people and like how to consider other feelings and how to deal with the conflict. But it's not important because our second speaker said it can be learned in a friendship, because friendship can be more also what meaning that they can learn each other deeply, because if they it's not always sure that if they become to be a friendship they don't learn each other more deeply, because we have best friends, it means we learn, like we know each other more deeply. And so, and also friendship is more likely to get complicated than like romantic relationship, because they having spent their time together more longer than like their lovers, and they have a lot of things to deal with each other. So they're more likely to get complicated. So children can learn how to deal with conflict and consider other feeling by friendship. So it's not always sure that dating relationship is more best way to learn how to understand people more deeply, or how to consider and how to deal with the relationship and the like society relationship. And our team line is children's future is most important, because protecting children's futures can also connect to the nation's future. And also for the parents, their the beloved children, their beloved child is the most important for their life, and protecting their beloved child from getting like disappointed or being broke, or getting mental illness is the most important things for the parents that they want to prioritize the most. And to make these things come true, we propose this motion. Thank you.
So in government's world, girls or boys will be a fairy tale. They will have no experience about what a romantic relationship would look like, and this is extremely harmful to children. I'll prove this in my speech. But in my speech, I'll mainly prove why children not having a preference or not having a preference and preferring a romantic relationship is beneficial to the individual, because it'll help them build relationships in general and improve as an individual. So, government's main points about in this debate was about money and money, mental health, stress, immaturity, etc. Attacking the point of money first. Like you're not gonna be broke just because you have a girlfriend. You're not just gonna be broke one day, even though if you would do much for the girlfriend, even though you would buy presents for her, him, etc., you will not be broke, because in our world we have experienced one being broke and not being broke. What I mean by this is that if you were broke in the early stages, so when you were young, like when you were a middle schooler and you were broke during a relationship, the impacts of this will be much less than you being broke when you're an adult and it's your first relationship and you're broke. I'm meaning that okay, being broke is terrible, obviously, but then is it better to like have an opportunity to learn from being broke in a relationship in the early stages of life, but or having a mental breakdown later because you didn't experience it and you don't know how to prevent it. So these harms will worsen on government's world because children do not have the experience or knowledge to actually build out a romantic relationship, since they were engineered in an environment where they negatively view romantic relationship itself. And moreover, like most importantly, the financial burden does not outweigh the benefits of happiness and comfort a romantic relationship brings. So I don't really get why opposition government is just keep on telling us on the podium that we should not propose a romantic relationship because it costs a lot of money. Moving on to points of children are immature. So this is the exact reason why children should learn faster. Children being immature and having no knowledge on a romantic relationship is why they should start earlier. Obviously, we're not asking toddlers to go out and get a girlfriend, but we're saying that more experience from a younger age will eventually help you build a healthier relationship when the romantic relationship is more serious in the future. So why is this the case? One, because uh them learning the skill faster will not be so harmful because, as I said, they'll be able to use it in the future. They're able to like apply it in their more serious relationship. And number two, it's better than them never learning the skill and struggling to build a relationship. This is government's worst case in where they struggle to build not even a romantic relationship but any kind of relationship because no, never mind, just they struggle to build a romantic relationship because any serious relationship because like they just don't know how to do it. So a final rebuttal a final point uh, final point on moving on to the point of friendship. So friendship is not exclusive in government's world, as our previous two speakers are pointing out. It is not destroyed in our world, but what I want to point out is that we avoid the worst case that will happen in opposition's world, which is an individual so isolated because they do not have a skill to build a romantic relationship. We're not saying that if you don't have a girlfriend, you'll be isolated. We're not saying that if you don't have a girlfriend, you're suddenly just gonna be like a nobody. But instead, what we're saying that in our world where there is experience gained, and in our world where there you can get knowledge and apply it in the future better, it's better. Like the chances of being isolated will significantly decrease. Final rebuttal on just opposition. Final rebuttal on government. So they claim that mental health will be a problem in our world, but this problem will actually be worse on their world because I have two layers of this. It's hard to build relationships in the first place in government's world because they just don't know how to, and their views on the romantic relationship itself will be negative because their parents have constantly told them that this is a bad thing. If they fail like with no experience, the impacts will be so much worse than you are already gone through multiple failures in your life. So if you just like fail a relationship when you're like 25 and it's your first ever relationship, like your mental stress and the impacts that it gives on your mental health will be so much worse than you knowing how to overcome the failure because you have experienced a relationship early on in your life. In our world, we do not force children to always have a partner. Instead, we're open to children building a relationship. Now, why is this beneficial? Because they do not get isolated. They do not lose the chance to become happy. They do not lose the chance to actually build a relationship in the future. So in government's work, chances of children building a relationship will decrease because they will not be able to learn. They're just sacrificing values like happiness and comfort just because of the fear of being victims to like a threat. So this harm will actually be worse on their side because in both sides individuals are gonna fail, but our side will be less. The harms in our world will be mitigated because they already have the experience to overcome the failure. So our side provides exclusive benefits about children building relationships and romantic relationships in general, helping them improve but not be isolated in society, while government just eliminates the chance of children actually building a romantic relationship due to the um lack of experience and knowledge. Most importantly, what is government trying to protect from our children? Like mental health or financial burden? These harms are all just outweighed by the benefit the romantic relationship itself gives. So I don't really know what government is pushing in order to in order for them to say that their world is more beneficial. Proud to oppose.
Now, say your child comes home one day from school and tells, Mama, I found the love of my life and I'll get married to them. Now, the proposition team, like the response is, okay, that's wonderful, but have you considered staying single instead? Shocking, right? So propose. Now, great. I think it's pretty established that their goal is to support the children by actively stopping them from those harms, and this is not what we need. It's a fake harm that they're protected from, and this is overprotection that would not be a good parenting strategy at all. Now, please note that the whip entirely gets the wrong idea of rebuttal. Like here, denial won't be the best case. We need comparators, and that's what we are looking for with speakers, but I do not see any of those from the government whip. And also, first, this is more on debate on value of which is best for the children. So do we really want these children to be, I don't know, those people who just only cares about money and does not have any social life or whatsoever, and no, that is really just hopeless in the dating market? Or do we want the children who is, okay, maybe they might be a little bit poor, but they still have some perfectly normally going social life and dating life, right? And let's look at this alternative, which is friendship. Now, well, let's get the quality of funding that it really brings as moving into weighing. So look, friendship. So first, please note that the benefit of friendship is happening on both sides. So whether they can prove it, the friendship is better than dating or not, they cannot win this debate because whatever they prove is mutual, right? And then they had to prove such terribleness of relationship, which did not happen in this debate really. Okay, let's talk about money then. Okay, on casual hangouts, we spend around 50 to 100 bucks anyway. So how is that so different from dating? Because it's not like every time we have a single day, we're not buying our girlfriends a Louis Vuitton bag or whatever, right? And if they spend so much, I really think people know how to read the numbers in the bank account. So this is very unlikely to happen. Also, let's talk about heartbreak. Sure. Also, this also happens in friendship with bliss and connections and stuff, right? They bring it up so late at the whip speech, and they still talk about that. They bring it up so late that they care about this people's mental health or whatever, but they talk about being able to be happy is because you're not broke. Well, this is not the case, and also being broke. This is a really extreme case and really unlikely to happen as my web speaker just proved. Okay, now let's move on to some other way. Okay, the degree of impact is not absolutely on our favor. The thing they're mainly trying to save is money, right? That's literally the first and the main argument, which was honestly a terrible strategy. But money can't buy emotional bonding. Like the point that we can actually trade off money for emotional bonding is such a great look that we have. And let's talk about the legitimacy. By principle, the parent's job is to set the right foundation for the child's success, right? That's our goal and our job. But a successful life is a happy life, and isn't that the whole point of making money anyway? So if you're broke but you're happy, then why is that worse than being rich and I don't know, being really hopeless and isolated, right? But now the proposition just walks up to the podium and tells me, "Oh, dating is bad because of blah blah blah." Well, that is not really working in this debate. Now, also, now their whole entire case comes to this one single premise that we have to choose one of these two, friendship or relationship, while we're saying that we can have both. In fact, those kids who have these experiences do have better social life in general because I know dating teaches how to deal with people, and right. So now what they failed to do is so simple. They had to prove their benefit is exclusive, and we already proved such exclusive benefits on how we save the children's autonomy social life. So we can make comparatives, but now what are we making comparatives against when everything that they said is pretty much mutual, and what we said is exclusive, right? And now this comes with another clash that we constantly brought up from the very beginning of this speech, which is less likely to bring children into toxic relationships. Now, learning bonding does not happen magically, and singles stay single, couples stay dating, constantly dating other people. Now, proposition doesn't get proof any case on this, so let me make it for them. Now, what they are going to say is avoiding relationship will avoid these toxic relationships. The flaw here is in long-term frame, this is not possible. You are going to have to do it somewhere, and it's like the benefits of relationship is so big just to give up for the sake of this I don't know, playing safe idea. So at the end, that's why the proposition loses its case, and I'm so proud to oppose. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shion. We propose this motion. Then I will summarize today's debate. And the most important point is for parents make their beloved child get knowledge and protect their mental health is most important things for parents, and also important to government to protect future generations. And I will summarize our point and compare with their point from viewpoint of whether they are as a method or not. Why is important for viewpoint? Because If it can be solved with something else, it is a low priority, even if it cannot be solved completely. And also, since there are no other effective solution, it is not good that the after pain causes some people to suffer. And their point is romantic relationships are necessary for human experience because they allow people to form deep connection with a specific partners. But our attack is human experience can also be gained through friendships, but why can people gain more human experience through friendships than through romantic relationship? Romantic relationship, because romantic relationship involve deep involvement with a specific person, which can lead accessible dependence. However, friendship allow people to build relationship with many different individuals, so they are less likely to become dependent on one person. And so their point has a low unique. However, our point is people lose themselves time. People prevent difficulty life because they devote a lot of money such as taking care of their children. But their tag is money don't have to be prioritized than happiness. But our defense is even if prioritize happiness, if children become broke, they can become happy. So prioritize money connect to happiness. And also, why does being in a romantic relationship leads to broken money? This is because romantic relationship there are more opportunity to spend money. For example, on date and celebrating university. In addition, if a partner is not working, you may have to cover their living expenses as well, which leads to even greater financial burden. Moreover, for someone who is already poor, having more opportunity to spend money can make their financial situation even worse. So our point is more important. So yeah, so we propose this motion. Thank you.